to make your speech effective, firstly, you have to research on your topic. You can't just go and start making a speech when you don't know what you're going to talk about. So research is very important. Secondly, keep an audience-centered approach. You should not be speaking to yourself. You should think of your audience. Who is my audience? Use simple words and language. Do not go there to show off that you have drank ink. Or you have memorized the Collins Dictionary, as we used to do in primary school when we are debating. Instead of talking about, I went to University of Lilongwe campus and I moved around a bit. I went to University of Lilongwe campus and I perambulated around the periphery. Articulate clearly. When you are speaking, make sure that you are sentencing, your word composition is correct. Otherwise, people will be laughing at what you are saying because you are speaking broken English or broken whatever you're speaking, and not taking what you want to say. Grab the attention of the audience with a powerful opening. Friends, commons, countrymen. Can you complete that one? Mark Antony, when he was valuing Julius Caesar and Shakespeare. Friends, Romans, countrymen have come here to bury Caesar, not to praise him. So that is a powerful opening speech. Assess the needs and priorities of your audience. What is it that the audience needs? Because if you are speaking things that the audience are not interested in, how do you think they are going to receive what you're saying? So you assess the needs and priorities. And then when you are delivering, you make sure that you are addressing those needs and priorities. Control performance anxiety. That is also very important. What do we mean by this one? Controlling performance anxiety. What is performance anxiety?
Actually, it's not like stammering or shaking while you're speaking.
Exactly. When you are facing an audience, there is always that anxiety. And you have to learn to control it. When we were training to be teachers, that is one thing that we try to master to start with. You learn to control performance anxiety. And as you grow in the profession, you become more or less immune to audience intimidation. But this can be very, very challenging. When Kamala Harris chose who as his running mate, who is the running mate to Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris. So you guys are not following what is happening in the United States of America. I will tell them that look here, these guys don't care. So those forwards that you want to give them, why should you give them? They don't seem to care. Okay. His vice president nominee is a guy who, okay, even if you don't know the name, what was the profession, or what is the profession of this guy? Mr. Watts. What is his background? He's a teacher. A teacher and a football coach. Right? So in America, when they say football, what kind of ball is that?
Rugby.
Yeah. So in America, when they say football, they don't mean this football that we know. Right? So this guy, that was his profession, and he confessed that was the first time, right, when he was speaking at the Democratic Annual Convention. He said that was the first time to make a serious speech, right? So he says, okay, all the other speeches that I've been making, right, I've been making to students and so on, but this one is the first one, right, that I'm speaking to a mature audience like this one. So you can imagine if you didn't prepare, he must have prepared so that he controls performance and that. For quite a number of years, when I was in government, we used to take ministers to the UNESCO General Conference. And the ministers used to deliver policy statements. And when they're delivering policy statements, the maximum number of minutes is 10 minutes. And they are going to deliver that speech about their country's policy in those 10 minutes. Right? In a room which carries 1,500 people. So in front of 1,500 people, we're going to deliver that speech. Right? So what we used to do was to either give the speech to the minister and say, okay, sir, can you, or madam, can you read? Right? Make sure that you are reading through 10 minutes. Right? If it is more, then you can delete, or you can tell us where to delete, and so on and so forth. Right? Because when the 10 minutes are over, a bell will ring, right? And when the bell is ringing, and then you're just in 3/4 way or halfway through your speech, it derails you completely, right? So this is very, very important, right? Controlling performance anxiety, because depending on the audience, right? It can be very, very intimidating. Just imagine you have been asked to speak at a funeral, right? And you've never delivered a speech before at a funeral. Right? It can be quite emotive. So you have to control your emotions. We've seen people not being able to finish speaking because they are overwhelmed by emotions and so on. Now, if you end up crying, right, then perhaps it was better for you not to volunteer to speak. Right? So this is very, very important. If you are using PowerPoints, then you have to create attractive PowerPoint slides with the right amount of detail. The problem with PowerPoints is that sometimes people load the PowerPoints with a lot of things. So make sure that your PowerPoint slide has got just the right amount of detail so that you can be able, or you can have that flexibility. You remember when we were talking about PowerPoint, we talked about flexibility. So for you to have flexibility to add on things, the PowerPoint should not be loaded, because if it is loaded, you are only going to end up just reading what is on the PowerPoint. Also, if you will be a constant public speaker, make sure that you have an evaluation form that attendees can complete so that you can improve on your delivery next time. It is also important that you hand out copies of your slides so that people can take them home. Why should you do that? Do that because you want your audience to be listening. Supposing I wasn't showing this, right? You would have been busy writing notes. You would not be listening. So the fact that you have some notes, it means that people will be paying attention rather than busy taking notes. Modulate your voice tone to emphasize important points so that you avoid monotonous presentation. As I said, politicians are fond of that. One time they're speaking in soft voice, next time they're shouting. The idea is to show that they're angry, but to emphasize the point. Because you will be surprised that after shouting, when the national anthem was sung, or the priest has prayed, the same guy goes around and shaking hands with people and smiling. But this guy was shouting, right? He has changed, right? So the shouting was not because he was worked up, but he was just trying to emphasize, or she was worked up, but she was trying to emphasize a point. Make sure that what you are speaking has got a logical flow. So organize a logical flow of your speech. At the end of the day, people should not be saying, what was it that she was trying to say? What was it that he was trying to say? prepare examples that are relevant to the experience of the audience. So when you are making examples, they should be relevant to the experience of the audience. I'm speaking to a Malawian audience, and then I say, okay, um, uh, for example, when you are walking in snow, now we have snow here. So why should I give an example of snow? That's why I sometimes when we are teaching research methods, right, there's a method which I sometimes have problems in trying to explain a bit. Snowball effect, right? Choosing respondents in a research. Right? One of the methods is the snowball method, right? So I have to explain that one. Snowball method, right? Okay. Snowball method in Europe, right? Where there is the snow, right? As you throw the snow or as the snow rolls from the top of a hill going downwards, right? It gathers more snow. Right? So at the bottom, you have a big piece of snow. Right? Do we understand each other? Oh, yeah. I hope and pray that we understand each other. Right? So the examples that you give have to be relevant. And the experiences, they have got to be relevant to the audience. Provide compelling evidence to support the themes. When you are speaking, make sure that the evidence that you provide is good enough for the audience to believe you. Because if the audience cannot grasp what you're trying to say, then you have lost it. Rehearse the presentation, revising all the rough spots. So that is another thing. As we said at the beginning, public speaking is like drama, where actors are going to rehearse. So you also are going to rehearse. If there are certain things or certain areas where you will notice that, well, here there will be some problem, right? Make sure that you iron those things out. For example, if you are going to be making a presentation where at one point the audience will be allowed to ask you questions, then you have to anticipate those questions. What possible questions are they going to ask me? How am I going to answer? Otherwise, if you don't, you might end up being embarrassed that you are unable to answer the questions. Restart critical points at the end of a speech to cement key concepts. So you have to restate or you have to re-emphasize critical points so that these are the takeaways. You could say, well, I hope you have listened to what I've said. The main points that you may wish to take away are these, and so on. Feedback from the audience is also very, very important because it gives you chances to improve in future. Summarize the topics to be covered at the beginning to provide the context. So, just like when you are writing an essay, where you have the hook and the thesis. Also, when you are making a speech, make sure that you summarize the points. What are you going to talk about at the beginning? So that your audience should know in advance what you are going to be saying. Don't be serious throughout. As we said, there should be some time for you to laugh. So telling stories or points of humor should be very, very much encouraged. Otherwise, if you are serious with everything, then sometimes you may end up having people going to sleep whilst you are talking. Plan the speech in advance to make sure that it meets the allotted time. As I said, if the speech is supposed to be for 10 minutes, right? Make sure that you plan it to fit the 10 minutes. Otherwise, if it doesn't, you have problems. Someone will be telling you, oh, time up, and then you haven't finished. Or more embarrassing, you finish if you are the only speaker before time, and then you've got a lot of time. What are you going to do with all that time? So make sure that everything is timed in such a way that you just fit into time. Use humor to enliven it all. Make sure that you are humorous all the time. Don't make silly jokes. No? I don't mean that you should embarrass people. Chair was lucky, right? That everybody was thinking the way he was, right? But in other circumstances, people may not be very, very amused, right? So when you are using humor, make sure that you are using humor which is balanced, right? It's not at the expense of one in the audience. Right, any questions? Well, if there are no questions, then for next week, we are going to divide ourselves.
Next week, the exams.
Exams, they start next week. You are lucky. Because we are going to divide ourselves in 4 groups. And the groups we are going to present one group was going, 2 groups were going to present advantages and disadvantages of field politics, and another group significance of social media networks. Okay, so if there are exams next week, then the assignment should be due then. I hope you have listened written. And then next week, don't give me any excuse. I hope you posted it up there so that they can start marking. So that by next week, I'll be through with that, and then I start marking your examination, which I have already set. And I can see that most of you have passed already. So that is very, very good. At least that is one prophecy that Prophet she taught me to prophesy that students have passed. So if you are failing, then it's not me. I have prophesied that all of you have passed.
Yes, I have passed.
Thank you very much. Yes. Sorry? No, I was wrong. It is not email, but phone numbers. But anyway, since you have already written